Good morning. First of all, let me begin by thanking each and every one of you for being here today to give us this platform so that we can update our community, our city, our state, as well as our country as to what has occurred in the city of New Orleans. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge who is here with me. As you can see, the leadership of New Orleans Police Department, every bureau chief, from field operations to investigative services, management service bureau, professional standards, as well as public integrity. We can also see a representative, our Criminal Justice Commissioner, Commissioner Stevens, from the Mayor's Office. Partners in our federal level with FBI Special Agent in Charge Brian Verdun, as well as our local and state partners, state troopers, Captain Dean Barings, representing Troop N, which is here in New Orleans, stationed in New Orleans itself, as well as Crime Stoppers, Ms. Darlene Costanza. This group together, we send a clear message. We work and operate as one team for every event that occurs or is held in the city of New Orleans. We work collaboratively together, leaning on one another, before, during, and after all special events hosted by the city of New Orleans. Not just the 46th annual Bayou Classic, but also New Year's, Sugar Bowl. College football championship is coming in January. Mardi Gras, Essence Festival, every major event that is held in the city of New Orleans. This team that you see before you, along with our other city government agencies, under the leadership of our great mayor, Honorable Latoya Cantrell, we work together to make sure that this city is safe at all times. And this sends a clear message to everyone that we will be dumping and using all resources that we have available to hold the individual or individuals that were involved in this unfortunate incident accountable for their actions. First and foremost, let me thank our team for being here today. Next, I would like to acknowledge the victims and express to them our thoughts and prayers. And as I've said, and you heard the mayor and I both say on yesterday, we are committed to ensuring you, the victim, that we will be holding these individuals accountable, and they will not be free to walk these streets. As for where we stand with this investigation, without compromising our around-the-clock work that these great investigators have done thus far, what I can tell you is that we do believe that this incident stemmed from a feud between individuals that are not from the New Orleans metropolitan area. Again, we have determined so far through the course of our investigation that this stems from a feud between individuals who are not from the New Orleans metropolitan area. So this is not a domestic terrorism act. This is a feud, ongoing feud, that we're working with our other partners throughout the state to determine who may be responsible for this. We have received several tips to confirm this very intelligence that we have received thus far. I can also say it is clear that these individuals had no regards, absolutely none, for the innocent bystanders that were out enjoying the Bayou Classic weekend festivities this weekend, when they decided to fire upon a crowd of innocent people. They also chose to completely disregard the law enforcement presence that we had there on the Canal Street corridor at that time. I will say, for this special event, we had over 300 New Orleans police officers assigned to this event, 50 additional state troopers outside of the Troop N that are here every day working hand in hand with our 8 district officers. And we also had our federal partners with the FBI, ATF, DEA, and U.S. Marshal that work with us daily. So we had our plan in place. And in that very block, that 700 block of Canal Street, we had 6 officers along with their supervisor in that very block alone. And these individuals still boldly, brazenly, and also cowardly decided to fire their weapons. But without hesitation, our officers and troopers that were assigned to that area quickly secured that scene and ensured paramedics could get to the victims safely and quickly to transport them to the nearby hospital. I will say, we did detain an individual that night, minutes after the incident occurred, but we were able to determine through our real-time crime center cameras that this individual had no involvement in this shooting. And therefore, this individual was free to go. Again, we did detain an individual that night, minutes after the incident. However, that individual was cleared through our video footage that we've collected thus far, and he was free to go. It is truly unfortunate. We're talking about something like this when a city as New Orleans has continued to make significant progress in reducing violent crimes. Last year, you saw the lowest number of murders in nearly 47 years. This year, we're on course to break that very same record. Our Violent Offenders Warrant Squad, VOWS, has been recently recognized by the U.S. Marshal's Office as the best of its kind in the nation. So we are that model for police reform in America. And rest assured, we will not be deterred. This incident does not determine or classify who we are as a city. We will continue to fight to make our city one of the safest cities in the country. We refuse to let these individuals come to our city and carry out a fight and get away with it on our streets. And you can count on that. As for the number of victims that remain, this morning we had 10 victims as a result of this incident. 5 males, 5 females. And I would like to bring up Dr. Nichols of our EMS, the director of our EMS, to elaborate more on the condition of those victims. Dr. Nichols?
Thank you, Chief. So as Superintendent Ferguson just stated, there were 10 patients that were transported by the emergency medical technicians and paramedics with New Orleans EMS. And we had upstaffing all weekend for the event. I actually was in the French Quarter caring for a patient about 30 minutes prior to this incident. And really having this presence allowed us a prompt response. 2 minutes after the 911 call came out, we made contact with the patients in the scene. We promptly got them to the 2 hospitals and recognized in conjunction with the emergency and trauma physicians that one individual did need to go to the operating room. I was in the hospital yesterday morning, and I was there today also to follow up. That individual did have a successful surgery and is healing well. The other 9 victims also are stable at this time. In speaking with the hospital team, everyone has commented on the importance of a collaborative effort in the preservation of life here. This could have been very different if not for the involvement of the law enforcement to keep the scene safe. Law enforcement also was prompt in applying tourniquets as needed. Our medical team offered stabilization, and we were able to get these patients to the right place to get that care that they needed promptly. We are continuing to be in contact with them to make sure that their healing is in the right direction.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. And I can say Dr. Nichols was on the phone with me from the moment I received the first phone call with regards to this incident, giving me an update on the condition of every victim and their prognosis throughout the morning. So again, thank you, Doctor. Also, as we move forward and try to further this investigation, we rely on another partner, a great partner in helping us with our investigations, and that would be our Crime Stoppers GNO. I'd like to ask our President and CEO, Darlene Costanza, to come up here and say a few words on their behalf. She has authorized, as usual, when we have a multiple victim incident, the reward to be $5,000, but now through her great work and dedication to the city of New Orleans, they're now increasing that reward to $10,000. Ms. Darlene?
Thank you, Chief. And Crime Stoppers stands united in the fact that we are not going to allow someone to come into our city and to terrorize our citizens by having a shootout in a very populated area in a wonderful event that takes place in our city. So because of the serious nature of this, our board authorized that increase to a $10,000 reward. And what's important for you, and first I want to thank the tipsters who have called in, because we have gotten tips, but I also want to encourage anyone out there, when you go through Crime Stoppers, you don't have to be identified. It is completely an anonymous process. That $10,000 reward is paid in cash, and it's paid on arrest and indictment. So please come forward with information. Anything can help, and we appreciate our partners here for letting us be here today to make that announcement.
Thank you, Ms. Darlene. Again, another partner who was on the phone constantly. One of the first phone calls I received asking how can they help us. So in closing, we do remain committed to finding and apprehending the individuals that are responsible for this reckless act. In New Orleans, we train year-round to secure and make safe events that draw some of the largest crowds around in our great city. Agencies from around the world have come here to learn what it is that we, as the New Orleans Police Department, are doing, and how do we work with our partners here in this great city. In fact, for this weekend's event, I just mentioned the number of officers that we had as well as the troopers, but there are 21 gun arrests made between the New Orleans Police Department and the Louisiana State Police throughout this weekend. So they are out there working diligently every day to make sure that this city remains safe, not just for special events, but every day for our entire community. And we'll continue to be prepared for the many large events that we have set forward. With that being said, I will answer any questions. Andy?
Fox 8 first, please. Chief, we hear you saying we're not going to stand for this in our city, but we've seen over the years way too many mass shootings for big events like this on Bourbon Street. What more, you had men there on the block. What more can your department do to try and prevent it against this? Can you do anything?
I mean, we have been doing what we're supposed to be doing. If you look at some of the video that has been released by our local media, you can see that this brazen act was committed right there by a police unit that was right there on Canal Street. So, and to have these officers right there within seconds, immediately after that individual fired that weapon and ran down Canal Street, you can see our officers running to that very location within seconds. So I think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, our best with regards to putting our officers in the right positions to respond when and if something would occur.
New Orleans advocate, please.
You have 10 victims. Can you describe the injuries and the ages of those victims? And also, do you think that any of the victims that you've identified were the targets of this shooting?
What I can say, okay, so we did have a 16-year-old that was shot, and the rest of the ages are between the ages of 21 and 36 adults, years of age. We are looking into this to determine if any of the 10 victims were actually a part of this, that is a part of this investigation, but we are looking into everyone's involvement at this point in time.
Any weapons recovered?
Yes, we have one weapon that was recovered from the scene.
Mike Pearlstein, WWL.
So have you been able to determine if there was more than one shooter, and as to the nature of the feud, can you give us a region? Are they from Southeast Louisiana, out of state? Any more information on that?
I would say that they're from Louisiana, and I could leave it at that. They are from Louisiana. We don't know the reason for the feud at all.
One shooter, multiple shooters?
One shooter for sure. One shooter for sure. Our detectives are still trying to obtain more video footage to get an entire picture of what actually occurred. But we do know for sure at least one shooter.
And do you think that shooter, Scott Withers, ABC National News, do you think that shooter is still in Louisiana or in New Orleans, or have they left to a different part of the state? It's been 24 hours.
This has been 31 hours right now. We really have no idea where this individual is. We're still in the process of trying to identify who this individual is. But we do know, from what we understand, this is a feud involving individuals that are not from the immediate New Orleans metropolitan area.
And do you have photos or videos of the face identifying that person?
Nothing but what you've already seen. Nothing that but the video that has already been placed out there. We're in the process of obtaining more video as we speak.
You said you had 300 officers working that weekend, 6 on that block, including a supervisor, so 7 police officers in that one block. How does one shooter get away with 7 officers right there on one city block?
Well, you have to look at a couple of things that may have factored into this. One, how thick was the crowd? 2, were the officers immediately equipped with the information to know who is it that they're looking for? I don't think so. The officers immediately thought that they were being fired upon. But to try to identify through that crowd when you see hundreds of people running at you while you're trying to identify who is the shooter, is kind of, it's hard. And I can't say, if you've seen that video, you can see how fast or rapidly this incident evolved, in which this individual fired and then began to run off himself. Next.
Crockett, WDSU.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Can you estimate the number of shots fired? And then also, can you speak to this challenge going around on social media for people in crowds to start running, and they just run to get a stampede going? We've heard reports that this was happening over and over and over again in that area before the shooting, potentially leading to some of the chaos for the officers.
And what is the first question? I'm sorry.
If you can estimate the number of shots fired.
Right now, that's still under investigation, the number of shots fired. I don't know anything, I have no information, I don't have any information about a challenge, but I can say for quite some time, even myself being a college student as well as a patrolman working Bourbon Street, the stampede has been going on for over 20 years. And it's unfortunate, it's not anything that we condone, but when someone sees something, they react. Some people react by running, and once one individual sees someone running, many do not wait to see why they're running. They're just trying to get out of harm's way if they're thinking that there's some sort of danger around them.
Jess, WWL?
Yes, you said that the individuals involved were from outside of New Orleans?
Yes.
Was that both the victim and the perpetrator?
Again, it's not to compromise the work that has been done thus far. I cannot say, but I will say that we do believe this is stemming from a feud that does not involve individuals from the New Orleans metropolitan area.
You have a question, sir?
I do.
State with who you are, please.
Will Sutton, Times Picayune,
Will, yep.
New Orleans
Yes.
area. You mentioned the 10 victims, one 16-year-old and then the others in age range.
Yes.
Can you say how many of those are connected to Grambling State University or Southern University as students, faculty, staff, or maybe family?
We're actually working with both schools right now to identify whether any of these victims are, again, student, faculty, or staff of either school. So we cannot confirm that at this time. I cannot tell you any of that right now until we have a confirmation through both schools.
Superintendent Scott Withers again from ABC News. Did any of the police officers engage the suspect at the time, utilize their weapons at all, fire back?
The officers never had a chance to do so. They did not know who they were looking for initially, so no.
Natasha with CNN.
Yes, you've talked about the lowering of violent crime here and
Yes.
large response to these big events that you're used to. However, anecdotally, there are people who talk to us about seeing frequent shooting events, not just Canal Street, the French Quarter area, et cetera. Can you talk about what is the actual data on how often shootings might happen in this area?
In this area, I mean, I think we're down in this area. In the French Quarter area in itself, in the 8th district, they're down in shootings overall. I mean, I think the bigger picture is why are individuals carrying weapons from the beginning? Why are individuals choosing to use violence to resolve some sort of conflict instead of having a conversation? I think that is the bigger question that we should be asking throughout all of this.
And we can certainly get you some numbers, but in the French Quarter 8th District area where this happened, shootings are extremely rare.
Rob, Chief, would you support stricter gun control laws like New York City has adopted?
I think that's something that we have to take a very serious look at. You know, we as a state, we have different laws than New York. So I think there are many pros and cons to that. So it's something to be considered, but there's a lot of research I think that should be done in order, and before we can make some sort of decision like that for this area.
We'll do a couple more questions. Mike?
Thank you. When you attribute this to a feud, is it connected in any way to Grambling and Southern, a personal beef, a gang beef? What's the nature?
It appears to be some sort of personal beef. I do not have any information to believe that it is related to Grambling State University or Southern University at this time. I just do not think that is related to either of the school.
So did it look like people were just in town for the event, or just, you know?
What do you mean, the victims?
No, the people involved in a feud. Were they here for the Grambling?
That's still yet to be determined because we really don't know. We don't know who the perpetrator is, so we don't know why that individual was in town.
Chief, you said you had one shooter at least.
At least.
Can you say whether or not any of the injured people had different caliber weapon wounds in their bodies, or were they all injured by the same gun?
That is still under investigation. We really do not know at this point in time.
We'll do one more question.
You mentioned a few. Do we know if there was a shootout back and forth? You mentioned you know at least one shooter.
From the video and evidence that we've collected thus far, it appears to be at least that one shooter. We have not collected anything else to indicate there are any additional shooters. But again, this is an ongoing investigation, and we're still looking and asking if anyone have any information, any evidence, like video footage or something of that sort, that you can get to our detectives. Our homicide detectives are in charge of this investigation. They can be reached at 504-658-5300, or you can report something anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 504-822-1111.
Is it possible to get a question with Dr. Nichols?
Sure.
Dr. Nichols, thank you. Just a clarification for the 10 patients. Are they all still hospitalized? And can you, without revealing anything too much about a patient's personal situation, can you talk about the types of where the injuries took place for most of those people?
Sure. So I can tell you that the 2 patients that were initially reported critical as of yesterday, both were still hospitalized, and one was guarded and now is even heading more toward a stable path. The other person that was hospitalized was stable also. I don't know at this moment whether or not that second individual has been discharged. The other wounds were variable. Some were in the extremities, some in, all over the body. And so those persons were all deemed stable, and I don't have the exact determinations on whether they've all been discharged, but we could follow up with that information.
I'm sorry, ma'am, 2 still in the hospital?
As of yesterday afternoon, yes.
And both are guarded?
No, one yesterday that went to the operating room was guarded, and now in speaking with the team today is now heading towards stable, and then the second individual was stable as of yesterday afternoon.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll certainly give you updates as they become available.